Hi and good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. You're listening to the program You and I on PSA, exclusively on the Street 91.9 FM, hosted by the Public Services Association. I am Christopher Joe Field, your first Vice President, and with me is Sister
Dawn Garcia. A blessed good morning to all our listeners.
And Ian Murray, your second Vice President. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to all my hard-working public officers out there. Good morning.
Today we have with us our sister. She has decided to come and supervise us, and that is Sister Trisha Burton. Welcome, Trisha.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, Mr. Joe Field.
Right. So, and of course, we can't dismiss or disregard or not even consider the man behind the console, and that is Mr.
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne is a Batman title, eh? I hope all you know that, eh? Batman. Comrades, I am happy to be here, and our purpose for being here, as always, is to try to place the focus on what is happening in the public service. But before I go any further, I want to also say a special good morning to the hard-working public officers tuned in, our PSA members, our General Counsel, and the JCC staff side representatives, and last but not least, the President of the PSA, Mr. Watson Duke. I also want to indicate that the program is geared towards highlighting the concerns of public officers and the restoration of the respect and status of the public service, because if you all haven't observed, there appears to be a conspiracy to dismantle this public service, to make public officers insecure in their employment and replace them with even more insecure type of workers in the form of contract workers. There is a huge amount of vacancies existing in the public service that seem not to be being attended to, and there are certain practices taking place in the administration of the public service that is not in the interest of public officers, because there are rules, regulations that govern the way public officers perform their duties, and how they are promoted and how they are assessed. And these rules and regulations seems to have been set aside, and the institutions that are there to supervise or to ensure that these rules and regulations are properly enforced, the incumbents in these positions seem to be on a holiday. And by that I am talking about the service commissions, I am talking about the CPO, I'm talking about the ombudsman, and these individual agencies and the incumbents in these agencies that seem to have lost their potency with regards to the enforcement of the regulations, and it has now been left up to the permanent secretaries and their HRO or their HR departments to manage the public service. And it appears that it is being run on an individual basis with an individual type of assessment of how things should be managed. But this is one public service, and there are standards that's supposed to be to guide the way the public service is managed.
Folks, this is an interactive program, and we invite you to call in and contribute to the discussion using the following telephone numbers: 622-9154, 622-3303, 631-0219, 639-0791. We'd also like to hear from you folks out there what topics or issues you would like to have discussed on the program, especially our public officers out there. Send us your questions via our official Facebook page, Trinbago, PSA Trinbago, or email at psatnt@gmail.com.
We have a long way to go to try and fix this public service. But one of the things that we need to do is to expose it. The system is failing, and it is failing fast. And therefore, if we expose these deficiencies, it is hoped that those institutions and agencies that have that responsibility will get up and enforce the regulations.
And just so that our hardworking public officers in the offices that support the service commissions, which is the DPA and the civil servants there, by no means we're speaking about them. We're speaking about the 9 commissioners who are supposed to police the public service commissions regulations and the act. They seem to be on a holiday.
Yeah, definitely. And if we needed to clarify that, well, it means that maybe somebody wanted to drink coffee for somebody's problems. But understand it, that the problem is at the management level of the organization, to put it bluntly. All right? And we need to call it out with a view to getting it changed. But I intend to focus this morning on a situation that has affected a particular public officer, and while it may be unique to that individual, I am sure that a number of other public officers can tell the same story. I am sure. And it concerns a public officer that was appointed. She received her appointment in 1997 from the Service Commission. So she entered the public service as a temporary clerk 1, and she was sent to the Ministry of Agriculture. And I just want to, as I said, this is not unique to just this individual, but I want to show you how the system has failed this officer. And that is a story that we are faced with as public officers, and they continue to work quietly, hoping that the system will protect them, that the system will look after their interest. She was assigned in May of 1998 to the Ministry of National Security. She spent 3 months there. Then she went to Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries. Agriculture, Land and Marine Resources, please forgive me. And she stayed there from May 1998 to November the 2nd, 2015, which is a period of 17 years. 17 years. And during that time, now I want you to remember, this is a temporary officer. During that time, she acted as a clerk 2, a clerk 3, an admin assistant, and then an administrative officer 2. The officer was promoted, or should we say given acting appointments all that time, because there was a vacancy existing that was never filled over a period of 17 years. What was the Service Commission doing at that time? What were they doing?
I have no idea, comrade, no idea.
During the 17 years she functioned in agriculture, land and marine resources until it was separated into land and marine resources. But administratively, the HR and the accounts continued to work as one. And then in November of 2015, she was given a letter by the deputy PS, saying that she was to report to the Ministry of Agriculture for posting. That same day, she was given another letter from a junior officer, an acting clerk 3. This is to show you how bad this situation is. These officers continue to act. That is all you're getting, acting. And she was instructed to report to the Ministry of Works. She was issued with the letter, and that letter was signed by the senior HRO. This letter informed her that she was released to assume duties where? In the Ministry of Works. The letterhead of the ministry was used as the basis for issuing the instructions. Not the Service Commission, the Ministry of Agriculture letterhead. She went to the Ministry of Works, and when she reported there, you know what they told her? We didn't know that you were coming. We didn't expect you here. Anyway, she stayed there, and then she was given another letter which appointed her to report to the URP division as a clerk 4. And when the officer realized that she was being pushed around like that, she came to the PSA. What did the PSA do? The PSA wrote advising of the regulations.
Yes, folks, wrote advising of the regulations to the then PS asking for a meeting. We were then informed that the officer was appointed by the Service Commission to the Ministry of Works in a clerk 1 post. Now, we're talking about somebody who worked 17 years in agriculture and acted at all different levels.
All different levels.
Right? All the way up to AO2.
And there was never an attempt to try to fill the vacancies in those areas.
Now, when you move that individual to the Ministry of Works as a clerk 1, somebody junior to her is going to act in the office at AO2 in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Which is what happened. Somebody junior to her was appointed to that position.
Yes.
And we would have to ask the question, why is it someone who has been employed for 17 years was not evenly permanently appointed in the most junior position of clerk 1? So for 17 years she has simply been acting and has been bounced around as a football.
No, but the commission would then tell us that that is not a transfer, because we would have queried the transfer of the officer. They say, no, once the officer is promoted, it can't be a transfer. But if you are appointed a clerk 1, temporary, though it may be, in the Ministry of Agriculture, you are already a clerk 1. What you have done is that you have regularized my position in a clerk 1 position, but you have transferred me from one ministry to the next.
But another issue that we need to look at is with the devolution of functions, where ministries, permanent secretaries in the various ministries were given certain authorities. They maybe exceeded that authority, because when she got an acting appointment in one ministry and was sent to another ministry, the receiving ministry was not aware. However, the Service Commission has failed to intervene to regularize that. So therefore it continues where junior persons would have the advantage over her.
And comrade, would you believe that having moved that officer, the position remained vacant and was recently filled by a junior member, of staff?
She would have suffered a demotion.
Of course.
Effectively, that is what it is.
But it is mischief. It's mischief of the highest degree, because the regulations tell you the one instance where you stay put is when you make a lateral transfer.
Yes.
In other words, you're not promoted. If you tell me you move me from temporary clerk 1 in the Ministry of Agriculture to clerk 1 in the Ministry of Works, isn't that a lateral transfer? I haven't been promoted.
The officer lost, and I want to point out what has happened to her. The officer lost as of April 2017. She's not receiving the acting payments which was owed to her from since October of 2014. She has not had appraisals conducted from 2014 to 2017. What is going on in the public service? And these are public servants who serve and perform their duties with a degree of loyalty and professionalism, almost invisibility. And the only how you know that they continue to work well is based on their performance appraisals.
Well, I'll tell you something. If you say no performance appraisal, that means no increments.
No increments, exactly.
And that too will affect her acting as well.
And performance appraisals continue to be an issue in the service. There's constant failure to keep performance appraisals up to date. Also, oftentimes we forget to do the quarterly appraisals. An officer can't wait till the end of her period to then go back now to do appraisals when there was no monitoring, there was no support, there was no coaching. Many ministries fail to keep performance appraisals up to date, and again, it hinders your increments, the award of all increments.
But sometimes, comrade, the officer who was supervising you to actually do your appraisal would have moved on in some cases, and you can't find the individual. In some instances, they retire, and there's no one to do your appraisal. You ought to be asking people who retired to come back and do my appraisal for 2014 and 2015 for me now, please.
But I also want to indicate that the officer hasn't been paid her salary in her substantive post. I think it's from since
February 2016.
February 20, from the 1st to the 11th, when she was advised by the PSA to continue to report at the lands.
Yeah, the Ministry of Agriculture, because it was considered a lateral transfer. And that matter was raised with the Commission, and to date it is still before the Commission for determination.
We have to ask ourselves what is happening with the system that has been put in place to make this public service run as smoothly and as efficiently as the citizenry of this country expects. Something is wrong, and we have to call it so that all could get up and fix it. The Ombudsman office, the office of the Ombudsman, ought to know that this is an administrative breach, and therefore advise these administrators that they are doing the wrong thing and they are affecting public officers in a manner that is going to impact on their performance and their morale. But that is not happening because ombudsmen have their own problems. The Service Commission seems to be taking a hands-off approach and leaving the PSs and the HR departments to act as though this is their own parlor, depending on which parlor they are operating in. But this is the public service, and we have to call it out with a view to getting these agencies to start pulling their weight.
Public Service Commission is supposed to be a constitutional body, one that is free from interference by political entities or any entity for that matter. They're supposed to make sure that the hiring practices of the state are fair across the board and equal to every citizen of this country. That's their mandate. But I'm sad to say, comrade, I believe that probably the politics have now infiltrated our constitutional bodies.
They are failing miserably, and we are saying that we need to put up a resistance.
Putting up a resistance. Got to work it out. You know how up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. Whoa, building up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out now. Putting up a resistance now. I'm gonna work it out. Wanna stay on tonight. Like to spend some time with my family. Stay home won't make it right. Sometimes the pressure make me feel like water. When every sign says no way out. Breaking my back to make no one that dollar that goes from man to mouth. Still I'm putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. If I know how, putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. Putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. No, I'm putting up a resistance. Got to work it out. You know I'm putting up a resistance. Putting up some fight. Got to fight. Putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out right now. Putting up a resistance now. Putting up a resistance.
We're back again, folks. Welcome again to you and I on PSA. If this situation sounds familiar to you, and you're in a similar situation, we invite you to call in and let us know what's taking place. All right. The numbers again are 622-9154, 622-3303, 631-0219, and 639-0791.
That situation is not unique to that individual, you know. I am telling you, that is the mess and mischief that exists in the public service. And I feel wrong. The PSA feels that we have to try our utmost to see how we can address these things, because we have tried the courts, we have tried the system, the grievance procedure. That is a different story. And whether we like it or not, public officers continue to suffer in silence simply because they believe that things will get better. But it can't get better if we don't face what is happening to us. We have a call on the line. Caller, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, morning. While we're talking about the PSA workers, but we have to talk about their performance too. Right now I am seeing problem and having problem with some PSA workers. I don't want to call my name or call the person because they might get more problem. We have to deal with both on both sides. When you go to them, they don't even look at you. Some of them say, okay, come back tomorrow, come back next week. So we have to look at that too. Thank you.
And I take your point, comrade, and that is an administrative situation that we would have to address.
But in some instances, and I'm telling you, and I am convinced in some instances, these people that the public having problems with are not necessarily civil servants. They are probably contract workers who working in the, or OJTs working inside the service alongside, you understand, taking the real positions of civil servants.
Established position.
You understand? Yeah.
And that is how bad the thing is. Because people get the impression that is ordinary public servants doing that, but most of these contracted persons, when they come into the service, they are not aware that there is a code that guides the conduct of these workers in the public service. We have a caller. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
How are you all this morning?
We could say, well, thank you very much. Your contribution?
Yeah, my contribution is the situation in Trinidad and Tobago is so bad with work ethics. Being PSA worker, being NGFW worker or what. The system, it look like the system or some people fall into the system. and everybody seems to follow one another. What I'll advise to do, the union should take a position when a man or woman or a worker is not performing. They should do the same thing, represent the union in a way that the union will not have no bargaining to see this is a union representative also. And let the system go nice. I like your program. It's your program. The union is for a special purpose, and the union is focusing on getting things for the workers. I understand that. But we have to see that everything go both sides.
Thank you, comrade.
Thank you
for your contribution.
And the employer also have a role to play. Sometimes these workers out there, they don't even have the tools, right, to do the jobs they are asked to do.
And also, the union never encourages workers to be delinquent. However, again, if management fails to ensure that a proper performance management system is in place, the unions can't be blamed for that. Managers must function in their capacity.
And that is my point, comrades. It is a systemic failure, and it is happening throughout the public service. It appears as though HR departments and HR operatives are not being guided or using the regulations to guide the decisions that they take.
I'll draw an example, and we will get into this another day. We had to spend an entire program on this topic. At the electrical inspectorate, right, where we're supposed to have electrical inspectors going to people's homes and so on, and inspecting electrical installations and passing them and giving out certificates, right? Well, I will have you know that there's a bunch of contract officers, right, going about, not in electrical inspectors, as the act require, but electrical inspection officers, they call them, right, and give them the same powers that a civil servant has, right, and they go into people's homes.
Are they gazetted?
And no, and we're getting reports that these people are asking for inducements and so on to give certificates.
That is corruption, and it gives the public service a bad name.
But then the public officers is who getting blamed.
Yes. Remember.
But we will deal with that another day.
That's not today.
Not today.
Remember, a guy used to say, somebody do something and shark get the blame. The point, comrades, is by substituting contract officers for established and gazetted officers to perform these functions, you are giving the ordinary citizen the impression that these persons have the weight and the authority to protect
and the integrity
to protect your electrical installations. But let one of those buildings burn down and see if the state is not sued because it was approved by a fake. Let me just say a fake. Okay? A fake.
Folks, the numbers are 622-9154, 622-3303, 639-0791.
Lovely. And I see the lines are starting to light up. But before we take this call, I want to also point out that we have the situation taking place in the Presbyterian schools, and where since 2005, I understand it, these ancillary staff which are hired by the Presbyterian board to perform duties of cleaning in all these schools,
72 of them,
all of them are not being paid on time. Some of them getting paid late, as much as 2 months late. We have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm a member of the PSA, and I have I listened to all of this morning and I want to know why Mr. Duke is still the president. And I want to know next thing. I heard the estate constable is going to become redundant in the ministry of, in the government service. Could you elaborate on that first, please?
You asked me two questions there. One relevant and one not. Okay, but what I will tell you is, what we are trying to do is operate at a strategic level with this program. This program is aimed at pointing out all the weaknesses in this public service, which appears to have the quiet agreement of the policymakers and the various commissions.
And if you are a state constable and something is irking you, now is the time to come out as a public officer and say what it is happening. Not we don't know who you are, you know. And this program is for our public officers to call in and highlight the issues that are affecting them in the service. Bring it to the fore.
Because whether we like it or not, you can't fix it the way things are going. And what I was alluding to earlier is that these officers who are under the Presbyterian board, they have not been getting their pay, their salaries on time. We're talking about persons being paid 2 and 3 months late, and that has been happening since 2005 to 2017. What is wrong?
And the explanation put forward from the ministry is that the Concordat of 1960 prohibits the ministry from paying the salaries of these 190 cleaners directly into their account. So again, we need to wonder, should the Concordat be revisited and made more efficient to deal with situations as these?
So what the board doing with this, the government subvention? Let me take this back to the genesis. Okay, we receive a subvention to pay salaries now, to this month. We save that check. We wait for a second month to come to pay salaries. We save that check too, right?
Yeah.
And when the third one come, then we pay them
for the first month.
That's government money. So what are they doing with the money? It's almost like the homes yesterday.
No accountability at all.
We are really, and you can't tell me that because the Concordat outlines that they will take responsibility for the management of a particular aspect. But if it is the state is paying you on time, which is honoring that part of the Concordat, therefore you have an obligation to pay your staff on time. You have an obligation. Why is it that they are paying 2 and 3 months late for these staff?
And these staff have commitments too. When they have to face the debtors, who paying all that interest? You have a caller on the line. Morning caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hear the issue on this station, but what about people who working in these places, not government places alone, but private places, and they're not paying the INS?
And you know that is a
serious thing.
Against the law, eh?
Yes, they're not paying the people INS, and when they reach 60 years and you go into the institute, they're telling you that how you just have this contribution and that contribution. And you're walking right through from what age to 60 years.
We persons who are affected or so affected should report these businessmen, these unscrupulous businessmen, to the relevant authorities.
Government places they're working and they're doing these kind of people not doing the job in this country. The heads who have to take care of this, care of that, they're not doing the job. Like in the supermarket, when they have to go and supervise that things go well with the prices and all these things, they're not doing all those things.
Yes, there is a consumer affairs division.
Yes.
What has happened with that? Where has that
Okay,
particular
bye, I'm
department?
going.
Yeah, thank you.
ma'am.
Where has that department gone to? The Consumer Affairs Division.
It used to have weights and measures and things.
I tell you, the system in the public service appears to be degrading to the point where it's anything goes. And in this country, we are saying we have to fix it. We have to call it and address it.
We actually have people making complaints that they would go and buy 3 pounds or something, and when they reach home and they put it on their scale home, it only weighing 2 pounds something.
You know there is.
Long time they used to have people going around and making sure that these people who selling things with these scales, that these scales true.
You know there is a Bureau of Standards with a metrology department that ensures that all scales are calibrated to a standardized weight, so that if you get 1 pound in Port of Spain, that is 1 pound down in San Fernando, that a kilogram in Trinidad is the same kilogram in France.
But they just only check the scales when they're about to sell them to cost, or they're supposed to check all the scales throughout the country.
It is their responsibility across the country. The Metrology Act was passed a very long time ago. Why is the Metrology Act not being enforced?
Well, just like most legislation in Trinidad, it becomes dormant and no one says anything, and we complain behind closed doors. But if I could just go back to the issue about NIS. When persons are due to retire, it is always well advised to go to the NIB about 6 months before your retirement date and ask for a statement of contributions. The NIB, oftentimes the statement is not accurate, so within that 6 months time, you would have enough time to regularize your status and ensure that you get your benefits when it is due. But you can't wait until you actually get to age 60 to go in.
But Sister Comrade, I dare to say that these persons who are affected in that manner do that with the understanding or the assurance that those persons charged with that responsibility doing their job, you know.
Yeah. Well, I agree, but it's a bit naive to think that the system is so efficient.
But while the caller would have alluded to this thing happening in private sector, I have seen it happen in the public service where persons, NIS, actually saying that they're making their contributions on the pay slip, and when they do go to the NIB and they check, there's big gaps.
Yeah.
Because payments sometimes are not remitted in a timely fashion.
And sometimes
no
it's not
one seems
entered.
to do a reconciliation.
It's not entered. What are these supervisors doing? Why are they not doing their jobs in a manner that will ensure the thing operates efficiently? We have to say to ourselves, something is wrong with that. It is wrong. And we are saying, you have to fix it. But let me go to some good news. The PSA has done some changes, but before we go there, we have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning.
Good morning to the panel, Trinidad and Tobago and the world at large. I ain't hear nobody thank you yet, sir, for the contribution that you're making and trying to put the country at large on a sound footing. Because I see that we had a past administration. I'm not into no politics, who stayed there for like 5 years and 3 months, and when they leave, sir, the liver's broken, and now here you are, sir, and you're trying to fix what somebody had already damaged. So thank you for the work, the excellent job you're doing, and continue to do a good job in and service. Thank you. Have a blessed day, sir.
Thank you very much, comrade. The fact is that we have to put Trinidad and Tobago first.
We must start somewhere.
And it is the public service that is the arms that make this whole system function efficiently.
Yes, and now that the country is in the financial state, right? We need to be saving money, and there must be proper accountability, right? And I would just want to, there's a particular home, and those homes, I don't want to, every now and then I want to revisit the issue. There's that home in Tagarigua. They're paying a consultant $85,000 a month.
To do what?
Right? That's the question. Out of that $85,000, I'm hearing that the person went and hired back the present manager's husband, right, to teach art on a Saturday.
And you know why? Because there is no accountability. We have a call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question relates to the administrative assistant examination that they had recently. This seems to be geared towards eliminating officers who are eligible for that position, because in the manner in which it was done, a lot of senior officers were not selected for the exam. Persons who are entitled were not even aware that there was an exam. And I would like to know what it is that the PSA can do to alleviate this situation. Because there are instances where persons who did not even apply or write the exam were appointed in these positions. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade, sister. That is the kind of mischief that we see taking place and being passed off for standard operating practice. But yet, when you examine it, you can see that those who would have served and performed in the area over time with performance appraisal reports that attest to their efficiency and effectiveness in their jobs, that they are not being considered. It is a corruption of the system, but it is aimed at making public officers so demoralized that they will not do their jobs in the manner that will promote the public service in that way, and therefore contribute to saying we have to change the system. We have to bring in a different kind of arrangement, work arrangement. We're talking about contract work here now. We are saying that while we would communicate with the service commissioners and try to get them to give a solid rationale for their actions, the fact is that we have to now use public opinion to cause them to change their ways. We have to use that because they're sitting down in the corner there in silence and continuing to create mischief and destroy the public service. So to answer your question in a few words, the Public Services Association is using public opinion to try to change it. We have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
I don't know what voice you're in right now, but I would also love what you're saying. And I want to say this, that if the public servants could really act in a way as a nation, police people, we can get rid of the corruption, because plenty of them know what is going on. I'll give you an example here, sir. In 1982, I bought a Fortuna car, new brand, and there were a guy by the name of Salvation, which was a Frenchman, young Frenchman. He was working, a white guy, he was working with the company. And when I get into his office, he was in salesman to buy thing. And when I get into the office, he told me, he said, here, mister, they are killing you all with the price of these cars. These cars are come value yourself for $8,000. And at the time, the contract can't come right down to $28,000, because what happened is, the company had so many of these cars and started to rot and so on. So they take them to do what they have to do, and they have been having selling as new brand cars. And what happened there is that they had brought it down from $25,000 to $28,000. And the white guy told me, said, listen,
They are killing you with the prices. This car from Val to sell for $8,000, it will sell for $28,000. And what happened after that is, when I met a person and come up to the outside, I wasn't told an Indian woman and a man about Asian people, the same thing. And not too long after that, I saw it on the papers, Mother Service is fired from this company, the said company, I don't want to call the name. So then I, since then to now, I'm still puzzled. What kind of governance we have that people will take advantage of us? You know, companies with the commodities can take advantage, and this thing must stay a secret. So I'm so puzzled since that time to now. Then now I am very puzzled with governance and what is going on when these kind of racket is taking place and the people in the government or the public servant who knows about these things stay quiet. So I'm very, very puzzled, sir, and thanks so much. There's so much I like to say. But you know what again I want to say? When I was a young man growing up, I knew that there were accountability with the weight, how much thing you get, how much ounces you get for your tongue and all these things. And to come around and check the scales and see that the scale is getting right, you know, among the ounces. And all these things used to go on and see that they pay the right price for things that we are consuming. So I would so like to see anybody, I don't know who's the speaker, but I said anybody will take up that mantle and help the government fight this corruption. Don't fight the government, but fight the corruption. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. This is the voice of the PSA, Public Services Association, and it's put on by the president of the PSA, Mr. Watson Duke. I am the first vice president, and my team, we have Mr. Ian Murray, second vice president, and our sister Dawn Garcia, she's here with us, and our supervisor here today, Sister Tricia Burton. We are pointing out the weaknesses in the system aimed at bringing to the attention of the population the idea that they are destroying the public service and the institutions. But I'm going to leave it there, and I want to tell you people that we want to give you all some news, in particular our members, about the state of the Public Services Association and how we can help you.
And I would like to invite our members and also interested persons to visit any PSA office. Our main office is at 89 to 91 Abercrombie Street, Port of Spain, and the number is 623-5472, and also Pro Queen Street, Arima, 667-7959. In Chagonas, Unit 11, Plaza de Montrose, 672-2100. In San Fernando, Prince Albert Street, 657-3212. And in Tobago, Piggott Street to be exact, 639-264. And also for your information, the PSA's rooftop has been renovated and is available to members to host social events. It could be a simple companies get-together to your wonderful, exquisite wedding. The rooftop is newly renovated and available for rent not only to members but to the general public. And it is conveniently located at 89 Abercrombie Street. You may call 625-5478 or 623-5472 to make your bookings or to arrange for a site visit.
See you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Have a productive day.
I'm gonna work it out, I never can understand it, the way the system goes. I don't know how they do it. It's only one way things go.
Broadcasting from Trinidad to the world. The Street919FM.com.
Check out Ideal Funeral Sanctuary Limited for all your funeral wants and needs. In your time of grief, we take care of everything. Services offered by Ideal Funeral Sanctuary Limited include burials, cremations, embalming, shipping and receiving of bodies globally, radio announcements, newspaper notices, fully air-conditioned chapel, provision of ministers, 24-hour pickup service, courteous and knowledgeable staff, a wide range of coffins and caskets to choose from, pre-planning packages, and so much more. Don't let the burden of death rob you of anything more. Let us be there for you. Come in at Ideal Funeral Sanctuary Limited, located at number 9 Jerningham Street, Peterborough in San Juan, or give us a call at 674-2071, 762-5154, or 222-2135, or email us at idealfuneralsanctuaryltd@gmail. We are also on Facebook at Ideal Funeral Sanctuary.